Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Printing's Alive with me, Warren Werbitt, your host. And today we have not just a special guest, but we have a serious guest. We have the Queen of Embellishment. We have Christine Yardley from Print Panther. How's it going, Christine?
It's going very well, thank you. I love your shirt. That's my life, basically.
Oh, it's all of our lives. It should be all of our lives, and we should be sleeping it, eating it, printing it, and then repeating it. I probably didn't say it right because I'm looking at my screen and it's all backwards, but it's all good. So first question is, I was going to ask you to tell us about the company and everything, but where did Queen of Embellishment come up from?
Well, I'm not sure exactly when it started, but it probably started when I made that long ball gown out of reused gold foil and wrapped myself in it during the pandemic because I was bored, and somehow it made it on the front cover of Post Press magazine. So that's probably where the Queen part got in, because it was like a long, and I did a big bolo with foil, and that was just sheer boredom during the pandemic to try and keep my sanity. So, and then I think the foil Queen was kind of fitting because I sort of embraced all things embellishment, and I don't have a habit of tiptoeing in. I kind of dove in, so I think I've earned my my Queen status.
Agreed. And I mean, you're everywhere. So when it comes to embellishment, that's why you're the Queen. You are it. I haven't seen a king though, so I guess that's good. Tell us a little bit about what you do, the company, and how you got into print.
Sure. I think there's a saying that goes, long reign the Queen. So I don't think we need a king.
We're not going to have that debate on this episode,
okay.
But I'll go along with whatever you say because you are my guest.
Okay. Well, I think, we are a commercial printer outside of Toronto in Canada, and we got into embellishment in 2016, quite early adopters for sure. Had the first MGI kind of Minolta press installed, I think, in North America. I remember on the box when it came in, it had number 89, and I thought, wow, that's so cool. So we started with a smaller press, and now we've evolved to a larger B2 shot size press, and embellishment has actually built our business.
Cool. Yeah, no, you've done some really nice stuff. I've seen in the past you've done the design book with Konica Minolta.
Yeah, I'm on the fifth one. I just did the fifth one. I try to do them manually, so it's getting harder and harder to kind of up that bar. But there again, that first one was done out of just wanting to have something that I could put in people's hands, and there just wasn't a lot available back then.
Oh, believe me, I know that. I mean, I've said it before, but like back when I bought the first iGen 5 way back when I had hair, and it had all the 3 additional colors for the, to spruce it up and make it brighter. And then we went out and made sample books right away because it's really the only way to show people what you have, because no one's going to know, especially if you want to be a leader. And then we actually used an MGI machine at a trade printer to, every page had its embellishments. I don't even think the word embellishment existed back then. I think that's only in the last maybe 5 or 6 years that it popped up the way that it is, because now everybody's embellish.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's nothing better than when you could sell the bling, right? So all that to say now, because I personally love embellishment, always was a high-end seller of print, always quality. But now that I sit on the other side and I'm not competing with anyone, my question then to you as the Queen is embellishment for every printer?
Well, I think it's for every printer that wants to grow, because embellishment represents growth at 4 times the speed of any other segment of printing, wide format, etc. So if you get into embellishment, you can expect a 4 times growth. So I don't think there's anything else that we can compare that to. And you can narrow down embellishments, metallic inks. I even considered die cutting an embellishment, foils and varnishes, like anything that you're doing to customize that page and bring it up a level, and you can, increase your sales by four times the amount. To me, every printer should be, unless you just want to be a commodity printer and make a couple cents a sheet, then no.
Okay, that's interesting. So I don't consider everything embellished. I don't consider fifth and sixth color embellishment. I consider it fifth and sixth color. And maybe because I'm an offset printer at heart, and we had a CMY key machine, and then we added additional colors. I don't know if I would consider die cutting embellishment. Perhaps if there was an embossing or a hot stamp, I would. Um, you said 4 times growth. What I'm asking is embellishment for every printer taking into account where everybody is also located? Or is it do you think maybe for certain printers in certain markets? Because the way the OEMs are talking about it these days, it's really for anybody and everybody who wants to grow and build a profitable business. And I'm not sold on that. Like if you're in a small town, is a press with fifth and sixth colors or an MGI or Skodex press going to change your life?
I guess it depends how far your customer reaches. And I think even small towns are being impacted because probably people in those small towns are ordering product that's coming in a box that some influencer has designed and embellished, and so they're getting exposed to it no matter where they live. And I think influencers have played a big part on that, on making it more available to everyone. I think what embellishment does is it makes every single product we know have the ability to be a luxury brand or be perceived as a luxury brand. And, no matter who you are, if you walk into a store, no matter where that store is, it's proven that if you hold a product in your hand for 17 seconds, the chances are you're going to buy it. And it's 50% more of a possibility if you're holding it in your hand if it's an embellished piece. So everything kind of tumbles down from there. So, does a small printer in, I don't know, Saskatoon, or is Saskatoon a small place? I think it is. Ready for this? Well, yeah, because he probably.
Absolutely not. Saskatoon, Regina, no way. And no offense to them, but there's no. In Regina, I was there for a Grey Cup once. They don't even have regular taxis. I mean, so.
Yeah, but they probably order stuff all the time online, and they probably get these wonderful influencer boxes. I mean, I think the geographical reach of beautiful print has no borders.
Well, I agree with that. What I'm looking at, and the reason I'm coming at it the way I am, is I'm talking about the investment.
Yeah,
Right?
and if you're a small printer, then outsource. You can outsource and still. I mean, if I was a small printer and I could not afford this machine, and I wanted, say, I had a university that I was doing annual reports for, I'd print the text in house and I'd send the covers out to get embellished, and then right away I'm making a 40% markup instead of a 2% markup.
By the way, I'm all for that. It's kind of funny because we outsourced all of our embellishments for the MGI.
Yeah.
And, I knew what I was spending a year, and it wasn't tons. And then I remember MGI coming to me trying to sell me a machine and trying to convince me to spend $350,000, hire a person and build it, and they will come. And I was adamant, absolutely not. And it would have been a mistake because then I would have had an employee for 50, 60 grand. I would have had payments for the next 5 years. And really, when I looked at the local trade shop dealing with 50 printers, they weren't busy with it all the time. So I just firmly believe if you're going to get into it and that it's good, you have to be prepared for the expense, right? I think you have to be prepared. And I believe, we know you did a lot of it. You have to be prepared to market yourself and market the product.
Absolutely. And trade printers probably don't do that.
No, but they do have access to the 50 big printers that are producing. Listen, when I had the iGen, I could not sell any of the extra colors for a penny more because it was too soon and too early in the adoption of it. But in my market, I just couldn't get people to budge. And today, I don't believe they're even willing to pay more.
They absolutely are for silver and gold metallic. Maybe not so much white and fluorescent, but still you get an uplift for it because you're making it custom. But for metallic inks, absolutely.
But I believe depends on the markets too that you're in, right? If you're in big city, big action, lots of movement, yes. If you're in smaller markets, the payback, it's a lot longer. So anyway, listen, again, I love it. I'm always looking out for the printer. I don't ever want them to get oversold on something or to not know what they're getting into, because once the printer buys something, they're stuck with it for 5 years, 4 or
It's
5
true.
years, whatever the lease is.
I think it gives someone the ability to grow and to learn new things and to give people what they want. I mean, 57% of print buyers now buy embellished print. So that's a really good statistic because it's showing that people are asking for it. And I mean, I'd ask you, if you don't think that embellishment is the way for a printer to perhaps grow, what would you suggest to them?
Well, first, I'm not against embellishment. I love color, I love print, and there's no one sells it more than I do. I think if you're a printer and you're not doing embellishments, you have to look at your business and see what you're doing, what you can offer. Most of the printers out there that I'm talking to don't even do good marketing or direct mail for themselves to drum up business. So if you're not doing anything and then you just go into embellishments, but don't go and do that mailing, direct mail, and let everyone know, you're in the same boat. So for someone like yourself and others like you who buy it with the purpose of same reason when I bought it, to go out to market the company, to show and do, then I think it's a great thing. I think the person buying it has to be in the mindset to do what you and I and some others do. I'm just concerned about the ones that aren't up on it, that are getting sold a bill of goods, that it's the greatest with all these statistics about the people buying, and then they buy it, and then all of a sudden it's sitting there. I mean,
But don't you think
based on
those
some,
people are actually looking? The people that, fall into it accidentally were obviously looking at some possibility to grow their business or change their business. I mean, they don't have to, we changed the core business for our shop, but maybe, it's a bit contradictory because they wouldn't have bought a machine unless they were interested on some level of change. So they must have been saying, we got to do something here. Making 2 cents a sheet's no fun anymore. Like some penny must have dropped, or our clients keep asking for this, or oh God, I got this beautiful piece in the mail today and I actually kept it. I mean, so I think that I can't imagine that there's a printer alive unless they're like getting ready to retire or just about to die, that wouldn't say, hey, what can I do to make my business more fun? What can I do to make my business more successful? What can I do to engage my salespeople to get out there and promote something new? And I can't think of anything else but embellishment. I mean, I push beautiful paper. I love paper. You know how I love Sabine and Paper Specs and all those beautiful stocks. I mean,
mm-hmm.
I love paper. But that only takes you so far, and especially on a digital press. So, I think that I don't know. I can't think of another way to increase your business better than embellishment. And today it's a lot easier because people are just, adapting to this new reality. I had to adopt a new reality. Today there's so many other price points that you can get in at. You can go with so many other suppliers now. I mean, we chose a supplier that we believed we had a partnership with that would support us and that would take care of us and be there, when the chips were down. And I have to say, kind of got Manol to have been, so I think that we chose correctly way back then. But today there's so many options and some of them are pretty cool. Like I've actually looked at a couple that I've been, wow, if I was getting in today, this is cool. Low price point. Scandicor.
Again, I don't disagree with you,
you know,
but the majority of
I love
the
Scandicor.
majority. Sorry, say that again.
Scandicor. They have a great press.
Oh no, I think there's a lot of great stuff. I think there's some good price points, but I still believe that the majority of printers out there are not ready for it, right? And you have to be ready for it. You have to be ready. You have to understand marketing a little. You have to be willing to market, and you have to be willing to spend more money. I just don't think all of them are. First of all, most don't know, and I don't think the OEMs are properly explaining it to them as they should for what's involved, with the costs involved and how long it takes to get somewhere, right? I don't know that I believe all the statistics on what's sold and what's touched, because the companies that are selling products are not putting out their numbers and they're not talking about it. So how do we determine the dollars that come from it? And again, I'm not fighting it. I'm just questioning, because I just hear only the upside.
Right.
And when I only hear upside about something, it makes me want to look into it and see what some of the downside is.
Right. And there is a downside. I mean, you have to change your way of thinking. You have to have a very strong pre-press. You have to, be willing to market yourself. You have to be, I always think now, whenever I'm designing any piece, what's the best way to embellish this? Or I never used to think that way before. I used to think, I'm a typesetter by trade. That's where I started. So I'd always think, oh, what's the typography? What font am I using, or this or that? But now that's not my first thought anymore. My first thought is, how will this embellish? So I've done a complete shift in my brain. And I think that has to happen with any printer that tries to adopt this. But most printers today have recognized that they need more value added. I mean, I think most of them have that penny's finally dropped. They can't just be some printer that walks in and, takes your job and off he goes. That doesn't exist anymore.
Well, it does exist. I just hope it doesn't stay for long. I mean, listen, I've always been a proponent of marketing, of never looking at what your competitors are selling out, but figure out what your costs are and what you have to do to make money. Right? When you start going like the pharmacies and they have those little price wars, it doesn't do anything. Surveys say, the number one item that's embellished is business cards. How many business cards does a company have to do to cover a $300,000 machine? I'm not looking for you to have the answer. I'm just saying what I'm thinking as a printer and investing. That's what the surveys are out there that are showing. I don't want to be in the business card market. I don't believe you're in the business card market.
No,
I think
we supply them, but they go with the whole package of pocket folders,
right,
etc. But I was on a webinar yesterday with Print Week in the UK, and they did a little online survey of, would your clients pay more per sheet for an embellished sheet? And 75% of the people listening said that they think they would. So I think
Sorry, you just said think they would.
Yeah, well, these are people that didn't have the machine. So the audience, I think, predominantly didn't have a press that they could do it in. So they were obviously perceiving that they could do well with a machine. So that's got to be coming from somewhere. And my belief is coming from exposure. They're seeing more of it out there. They're seeing their competitor with it. They've gone to a trade show. They've seen a press on the floor. They've gone into the ad agency they worked for, and the ad agency print buyers asking them about this ability to do variable data foil on all these invitations from Mercedes-Benz. I mean, if you start hearing that over and over again, you're going to say, oh, something's here. Something is good here. I mean, that's how I would think about it. And maybe I'm not a normal printer, but
absolutely not normal. I'm not even a printer. You're just not normal. I mean, a good not normal.
I guess I'm not your typical, but and I'm usually but I think what I do know is what sells and what makes a brand sell. And I think that is my edge that maybe some printers don't have.
Oh, well, I think your edge, first of all, is just being the queen and getting into it when you got into it. And then you've had all of these years leading the way for everybody to learn, you hit the school of hard knocks with some of the issues when you're putting things together, how they work, what you're doing. And now you are where you are. So you see the benefits, but you also have the results to back it up because you were one of the first to do it, right? So let me ask a question. You're making, and only because it's the print world, you're doing, companies doing well, the margins are really high. All of a sudden, a couple printers in their area buy the same embellishment equipment. What do you think happens after that?
I think that there's enough for everyone. I mean, we're all going to be printing the same sheets, but we're going to make them all pretty now instead of just mine.
Right. So my question is more like, they're in the same area as you. You end up competing at the same customers. What happens to the price? Does everyone stick to their guns and keep it up, or does it all of a sudden embellishment become a commodity?
It's funny you said that, because when I first got my machine, a very large printer called me. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. What's this all about? And he basically said he wanted me to share my pricing grid with him so that he made sure that I didn't undercut the market. And I said, well, I can't understand how we could even price our things the same. You've got gigantic overhead. I've got teeny weeny overhead. So we approach a cost from a different point of view. But when I quote a job, I'm taking the paper into account, my manpower into account, my rent into account, the cost of the foil, the cost of the varnish, just like any other printer would do. So if the guy down the street is undercutting me that much, he's not going to last for long. But this big printer, on the other hand, should have had the ability to undercut me, but he actually had to go higher. So that's a contradiction that's kind of confusing sometimes. And
What was it? What were their names?
I can't tell you that.
Yeah, I
That
just thought I would try and trick
know
you.
exactly. You know exactly who it is. And by the way, I back then I used to think he was a bit pompous, but now I quite like him. So I've come full circle on that one.
By the way, I agree with you.
Yes, so we know who we're talking about.
And they're great for the industry.
They are great for the industry, and I've recognized that now, and I'm humbly apologizing for.
Jay, I think you're a great guy.
Oh, you're so awful. Yes. So yes, I humbly apologize for judging too quickly, but now I'm a fan. So there you go. But I think I think we could never price the job the same, just because it could never. But what I would give, perhaps that maybe a bigger company couldn't give, would be amazing service, right? I mean, just the value added on every level. Plus, if I do a job that a client doesn't like and I can see that there's some deficiencies, I will redo it, and I will do it till I get it right. And, you know, I don't think you can get that if you're online ordering.
Okay, well, so now, oh my God, now you just threw me off. Online ordering is great if you don't really care what you're getting.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you're online ordering, whether you know it or you don't know it, you're gang run ordering, and people are running it any way they can to get out the product.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Well, I did an order from one of the more upscale business card providers, and I ordered it with foil, and I kept it pretty simple. I got the package, and I must say it was beautifully packaged. I loved the packaging, but the cards would never have left my shop.
Can I guess who it is?
Sure.
Is it Moo?
Yes, it was Moo.
And by the way,
you just are guessing too well here.
I guess because honestly, because of their marketing and their branding and everything, I think of them as the business card printer out there. They show the thick cards, the foils, the embellishments. Yeah. But I'm always, for what you said when you got it, that it wouldn't leave your shop, I'm always worried about the higher end stuff coming out of those places, because who's looking at it? Online, it's as if nobody sees it, right? That's technically what's supposed to happen. If the order comes in, it gets placed, it gets moved, it gets set up, boom, printed and shipped. So yeah, listen, if you love print and you're passionate about it at your place, you make sure what goes out is good.
Yeah,
I mean, just send anything out.
And I don't think anybody really looks at it. They'd have to have very few touch points to keep it profitable. So maybe one person as they're packing, perhaps. But when we do a card run, it's like every card.
Yeah, but you're also not charging. You're charging more than they're charging, rightfully so. Different operation, I think. Actually,
I'll tell you something interesting. When I was working out our pricing grid, I actually downloaded pricing lists from all sorts, including Moo, and we are definitely less. So really? Yeah, definitely.
You're gonna have to take this part of the podcast, cut it out, and use it as a little advertisement that you are actually less than Moo, and the cards are good. So let me just ask you: when you got the cards and they weren't great, did you send them back? Did you try to get them redone?
No, I just kept them, and I thought, wow, that's a really, I'm going to copy some of their packaging ideas, but I was kind of surprised because I think they have the same press I have, but I think I was disappointed, but no, I didn't return them. I just kept them. They were weren't any card I was ever going to hand out, so it was just literally a test.
So I would have called them, sent them back just to see how they react with the redoing, and if what you get is better than what you got before.
I probably should have, but you know, I didn't.
No, it's it's kind of crazy. It's a crazy world out there. I just want with the embellishments. I want the print companies that are getting into it to get in and be really successful with it.
Yeah,
and to know what they have to do. Listen, one of the things Tactiful does, Kevin and Eric, is they offer like a little program when you're buying embellishment on, what to do for the setup. And then they have some estimating applications, and then they have some design and preview stuff and how to do it. And I think that's great. if the companies are going to follow through with it and do what is suggested. And the reality of it is most won't, because things fall to the side, right? So I'm just concerned for the amount of money people are going to spend, that they do it right. And I want to make sure that everything that they're told by the OEMs is actually true.
I mean, I think there's always going to be a bit of gray area as far as that is, but I think the OEMs are actually doing a really amazing job in trying to give people the tools and education and support that they need. And I mean, that's proof in the pudding, because a lot of them have gone with Tactiful and used Kevin's services to support some of their products. So I think OEMs, and they're doing more workshops, they're doing more lunch and learns, they're being much more aggressive at trade shows, award shows. I've seen a real uptick in the OEMs level of commitment personally. And I mean, I deal with specific ones. But I've dealt with 3 major ones.
Right.
Would you get that support from a smaller one? I'm not positive. Probably not.
You are who you, by the way, and for everyone listening, in all fairness, you are who you are doing what you do. So they've got to be on their tippy toes with you as well to make sure that everything is done well and smooth. Right. And I, when I was the poster boy for one of the companies, it was the same thing. Right. Which is good.
They would treat everybody the same. I mean, I can't imagine.
They don't. They try, but
yeah. I mean, I'd have people talk to me at shows and stuff, and they've had a good experience. I mean, but I've had people talk to me actually that had a bad experience. And actually, the one person who told me this, it was years ago at a president's conference, and he was having issues. And I went and on his behalf and tried to see if I could get some information, and was able to rectify the situation. So yeah, where I can help, I will. Obviously, I don't. My reach is not that great, but I don't know. I think just the way I see like this. All of them trying so hard to like educate the designers, have these programs, be involved with people like Paper Specs and Deborah Korn and this and that and the other. I mean, they're all trying to reach us on a different level than just somebody selling, a commodity.
Right. Okay. Well, I think eventually it can become a commodity, and it will become a commodity. Right. I think because that's just kind of what happens. I think they're reaching out and going crazy and trying to sell because they've got backed up inventory of toners and liquids and all kinds of stuff. And I remember doing some work with Xerox, and Xerox, they couldn't get their, what was it? The CMYK Plus or Beyond or something, and all the silver and gold, right? Like 4 or 5 years ago, 3 years ago. And their inventory was out of control and it's going to expire. So I'm a little jaded with what it is, but I want to, make sure that I promote what's good, and that I just want to promote so people understand, and then they can make their own choices.
Yeah.
Listen,
I got to tell you one thing that I learned, because dealing with OEMs, trying to get the best price, trying to do all that, lease, purchase, this, that, click charge. When I look back on my decision-making process of my whole career, and Trigger is 27 years old in February. So I think, I did a lot of bad things, but when I started getting better was when I started talking to other printers. And I would be blunt and I'd say, hey, what did you pay for the machine? Can I see your bill of sale? And most people will share. And I got to tell you, if you can see another printer's bill of sale for something you're buying, that is so helpful.
Yeah. So I've never said this. I've said it to a couple people from what happened, but I've never said it kind of publicly because it didn't, whatever. I just kept my mouth quiet. But I'll tell you, when I bought the first iGen 5 in the world, when it was showcased in Prague, and I was on the Xerox Premier Partners Committee, and Xerox did a worldwide press release that I put the first one in the world. Well, I had all kinds of issues. And what came out after the fact was I was not the first person. It was somewhere else first that didn't work. And
that's
ever since,
shitty.
but yeah. And you know what, all kidding aside, I mean, I was the poster boy. I was out there with the samples. I was talking everywhere about them. And that really jaded me. That really at the end of the day, it just made it that they're really just a supplier of equipment. So everyone has to remember that, and everyone just has to remember to do their homework.
Absolutely.
Trust. It's like, it's going to sound awful, but you can't trust the car salesman either. You got to make sure. I mean, maybe you could today, but maybe it's a used car salesman or the aluminum guy. But you really need to do your homework. You need to make sure. You need to, check everything, every step of the way.
And
There's too many people.
not to be the poster child for one specific OEM. I try to be a generic foil queen and take care of all my people.
No, for sure.
Well, and I think I wasn't that at the beginning, but I'm trying to evolve into that because I think it gives my voice a lot more credibility if I am more generic. And I look at all the potential embellishments, and I think people probably realize that I just jumped from Xerox to Fuji, and there was a lot of reasons I did that. But still,
you mean Fuji made you a better deal?
They certainly did, and
right.
and I also liked the idea that I was, getting it right from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So
that's a whole other conversation.
So but I think that, I still love Xerox, and I still love the people that I used to work with at Xerox, and they've always been very supportive. So from a very generic point of view, I can talk the Xerox speak, I can talk the Fuji speak, I can talk the Konica speak, and if I see a beautiful, I love April from Skodex, and if I see something she puts on,
oh, she's awesome.
She is, and if I see something she posts on LinkedIn or whatever, and I love it, I'll say, wow, that's amazing, because I want to be that more generic embellishment person. And because I'm in the trenches and not just trying to sell something, I mean, I'm trying to sell print, but I'm not trying to sell a machine per se, because I'm in the trenches and I have the issues that everyone has with heads or this or that. I do have credibility. So I think being generic ups my credibility.
I love,
I don't know.
No, you have lots of credibility. No, listen, I love to promote anything print.
Yep.
I've loved most of the people that I've worked with in the industry, right? And everyone should know that when you're dealing with these big companies that are public and there's a CEO, their only mandate is the shareholder price and value, right? And I'm not telling anybody anything they don't know. So everyone below him could only say what they want and do what they want, but who has the backing from up on top when push comes to shove?
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And we know, when I dealt with businesses, customers that were smaller, the relationships were a little tighter than the big corporations, because the big corporations, it's a corporation. Nobody has any skin in the game, right? That's the other thing with the OEMs that, when I think of, and I think of printers, we as printers, entrepreneurs, we put our life on the line when we sign for equipment for 3, 4, 5, 6 years. The OEMs have no skin in the game with us. So we need to make sure that every decision we make is the right decision, because we're going to live with it and pay for it.
Absolutely.
Right? And I love the fact that you went to speak to other printers. So speaking of other printers, I would preface it by saying that makes for a great reason to join a print peer group. And I don't know if you're partners. Are you partners in a peer partners? Are you a member of a peer group?
Well, I mean, if you call the FSCA and the Digital Embellishment Association, the DIA, you don't consider those peer groups. So what do you consider a peer group?
I consider those print groups. A peer group to me, and I was a member for like 25 years, was when you're in with a group of other printers, could be 7, 8, 9 other companies, like-minded companies from different areas. Steve Anzalone and Mike Philly, they manage some peer groups. And then you're with a peer group of your 8 or 9 companies where they're it's like a little mini boardroom where everybody's putting their financials on the table. Everybody's comfortable together to talk. Everybody's talking best practices. Everyone's going to visit each other in different shops, so you get to see what everyone's doing. And it's a little more intimate in what you're discussing and sharing. When you're a member of the any of those others that you mentioned, nobody's sharing confidential information like that.
No,
right?
I've never heard of anybody doing that.
Really? Wow, then our industry needs to do a better job of putting out peer groups. Imagine, because when I was a part of a peer group, Oh my God. First of all, you have someone that you can call all the time to ask a question, right?
Yeah, which is
Whatever it is.
I mean, I do have other printers that I feel that comfortable with that I do. One in Canada, one in the U.S. actually, that I can pick up the phone and they'll always take my call and they'll always answer my questions. So that's comforting. But I've never heard of a specific peer group that you become a member of. I've never heard that. Maybe is that kind of like a boys' club, or are girls allowed too?
No, we had lots of girls.
Ah,
My preference was the girls before the boys. But anyways,
I never heard of this. Where have I been?
I don't know. But then I guess I'm going to have Mike Fildy and Steve Anzalone on a podcast and talk about peer groups.
Yeah.
So when you do that, though, not only just having someone to call, someone's going to tell you the truth.
Yes.
Right. I remember doing an estimate for a big project, and I reached out to the 8 people and said, I'm doing this big estimate. If you have a couple of minutes, can you have a look? And just to compare, and am I right in my thinking over here? Am I right in my thinking over there? And everyone got back to me, and I was pretty good, made a few adjustments, right? You want to buy equipment. Who's going to be more honest with you than your circle of friends, right? Some of the people you might ask what it costs might not want to tell you, might feel threatened because they signed a contract this big that they didn't read, but they're afraid, right? Because in there it says confidentiality somewhere. But yeah, with the peer group, oh, it's great. It's great. And anyone listening, I would recommend you look into it if you're not there. And with the OEMs, when you're buying,
Print peer groups, they'll pop up.
Sorry?
You Google print peer groups and they pop up.
You could try it. I'll do it. I'll do it after, and I'll put up some stuff. I'll do a post on peer groups.
Yeah, you should. That's an interesting theory. There's definitely overlap with some of the organizations I'm involved with, because I think you get that peer group benefit just by association. Well,
you know what?
Sharing financial, but the other part.
You get some information, but you don't. So another organization that I used to be part of, not Print, but I would recommend it for all owners, founders. It was the Entrepreneur Organization. And when you get to a certain level, you could bounce up to YPO, which a lot of people already know, and there's probably a lot of members in the world of print. But in the EO, YPO concept, you have your local chapter, you have monthly events, and that's all fun, and some of the events are off the charts. But then you have a forum that they put you with that's created of 7, 8, 9, 10 people, men, women, everybody's an owner. It's a confidential group. You have to sign a commitment. There's a constitution. No one knows anything outside the group, and you could share all kinds of stuff as people go and get comfortable, be it business, be it your life, be it whatever you want. And it's a really great sounding board, because when you're a one-person show, it can get a little tough, and you don't always know who you could turn to, who to talk to, because who can you really trust and who has your best interests at heart? I found that, like, within my peer group or my EO forum, they're the only ones that had my best interest at heart. Everyone else I spoke to had some type of interest. If I spoke to anyone in the machine world, their interest was, to help me and then kind of sell me a machine or the consumables or whatever. But it's just basic business, but really, really, really good. Do you see, what about printers and marketing? You speak to a lot of printers. A lot of printers talk to you. Marketing?
Funny enough, during this webinar yesterday, there were, I think, 3 other printers on the call, and they all did marketing and promotion quite aggressively. So, and they were, all different sizes, different locations. So I think marketing is becoming more, people know they have to do it, whether they do it from a social media standpoint or they do actually printed pieces. To be honest with you, as a printer, of course I have to engage in social media, but if I'm trying to get some kind of sample book or whatever, I don't want an ebook. I don't want to I want a tangible thing I can hold in my hand. So mail it to me or get it to me somehow, which is why I think the extreme digital guides have been so important, because it's putting a piece in someone's hand. Don't tell me about it. I want to see a printed piece. And I save every piece I collect, my office is a nightmare because of it. But so, yeah, I do think that printers are getting better at it. Could they do better? Absolutely. But I think you can say that about any industry, really. Marketing is a critical component. And, if you're not doing it, then, maybe you have a couple of big house accounts that you just rely on. But if you're trying to delve into new markets and maybe change your core competencies, you have to market it.
Oh, I listen. I've been into the marketing thing from way back when. I think it's just so important, and I think honestly, I think most printers don't market themselves,
Hmm.
and I'm amazed. I suggest to every printer that I talk with that at the very least, like if you talk about direct mail and doing mailing, and I ask them, have you ever done your own mailing for 12 months in a row? And most of them are like, no. And I'm like, well, why not? I said, because these are the things that I think come from it. Number one, if you market, and we know that you can't put out one or two, you have to be consistent, right? But if you do it, say, for 6 to 12 months, you have your consistency. You're hitting that, say you pick 1,000 people within a 4 mile radius, 1,000 companies within a 4 mile radius of your office, right? You're getting it in. If you do nothing and don't even follow up, I think it's safe to say there's like a 1-2% return of people just calling. I mean, think about all the people that use Staples for print. Not that Staples is bad, but they're using Staples because they don't know where else to go. Who else wants to buy print from a person, that has a catalog like that, right? But if you put it out there every month, people start to have it. If you have salespeople, you are now creating lead gen for them because they can't call that many people, nor would they call that many people in a year consistently anyways. And then on top of that, you're left with your own case study to do that you get to add up and look at it all. And then, like I said, make a case study and present it to your clients as what you've done so that the numbers and the returns are accurate.
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't have to be expensive. If it's $1 an envelope, it's $1,000 for postage. Paper and all that stuff is free because you probably have enough leftovers from jobs and I don't even suggest to people that you go out and ask your suppliers to do anything for you for free because you don't want to owe them anything for any reason. So for the few dollars, just pay for it.
I mean, drill it down even simpler. If a printer doesn't hand you a beautiful business card, they've just lost an opportunity. I mean, it's so simple. Have a business card that, I've actually been guilty of attending events with no business cards and thought, oh, I'm a printer. How do I do that? But I mean,
you can't.
Every time a printer hands me his card or their card, it should be a work of art. Exactly. What a lovely card that is. Who did that for you?
I think it was the Queen of Embellishment, actually.
I think it was. Damn, that's nice.
But no, and this was my previous one that Matt Redbeer from Tactiful did. But no, you need to. That's the other thing. I'm at print shows, and I'll be meeting a printer, and I'll say to them, let me just close my drawer because I've got OCD. It'll make me crazy. And I say, then you have a business card, and they'll go, no. Scan my QR code.
Yeah.
And I'm like, scan your what?
Yes.
I'm like, you're a fucking idiot.
I know. That's like shocking.
Right?
Shocking.
If nothing else with a business card, you invest in a nice one. Why? Spend the $300-400 on your 500 cards. Why? Because it's the first thing you do when you meet someone. It's your first impression. And at the very least, it's going to go in their pocket. And they're going to see you one more time for sure when they empty their pockets when they get home. When you're at a show and you tell someone to scan your QR code and the business card goes in the phone, they are not thinking about you after you walk away. End of story.
Yeah.
Right? So what is wrong with people? I told the story last time. I was doing business with an envelope company and I called them up or they called me because I owed them some money that I missed an invoice. And I said to her, oh, Mike, can you just mail me another invoice right away? I'll take care of it now, or give me the amount. I'll give you the credit card, but mail me the invoice. She goes, oh, I'll send you an email. I go, whoa. I go, you send me an email. I'm calling your boss and I'm telling him to fire you. I said, you're an envelope company. I said, you sending an email tells me I don't need envelopes anymore. You just put yourself out of a job. You got to keep promoting it.
Yeah, it's so true.
I don't get it. And you know what? Think about what
minutes ago that don't send me an ebook.
Listen, I don't mind an ebook I don't mind an ebook if I'm getting what do you call it? Something printed, right? Listen,
actually like a proof, as a proof.
Well, no, but you know what? Konica. right? I just saw at Amplify, Konica put out a post offering an ebook.
Okay.
So I went on because I wanted to see what it was, and I went to go fill it out. And guess what? The link didn't even work. And then I do a post on LinkedIn that says your link is not working. Nobody even replies to me, which is crazy. But if you're going to have somebody, if you're going to do that and you're Konica, you should mail them the real printed book, and that book should have embellishments on it because that's what you're pushing.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I downloaded that specific book you mentioned and I printed it out. I wanted to read it in my hand. But I agree. I mean, it was just a printout, quick printout with no embellishment or anything. Had I received that as a embellished piece, it probably would have had way more impact.
Oh, I think, yeah. Listen, and who
You know,
the
put your money where
manufacturers
your mouth is, eh? It's just simply that. Put your money where your mouth is. You know, if you're going to sell,
and so get this, it goes the same way for the printer. If the OEM is not going to do what they need to do for the printer, then why would the printer want to get it and then go, figure out what to do? If
well, I guess
the OEM,
we both need each other. Then is what you're saying.
no, I'm saying the OEM needs to do it right and lead by example.
Okay.
And walk the talk before, and talk the walk and walk the talk, and however that goes. Listen, I'm putting a lot of pressure on the OEM because they're putting a lot of pressure on the printer to make the purchase.
Right.
Right. And again, I'm loving every piece of equipment out there, and I think all the equipment is good, by the way. And like whether it's MGI or Skodex or any of the other ones, there's a need for them with different people.
Absolutely.
Skodex is not for everyone. MGI is not for everyone. The others could be for different markets and different pieces. But I put the onus on the OEM to make sure they do it right. And they don't leave anything out when talking and explaining to the print person what's involved.
Yeah,
right?
making them accountable, which is, a good thing.
Important.
Yes, it is
right?
important.
And to the print person who's looking to buy, don't feel pressure. Don't buy anything. Don't sign anything until you have figured out exactly how you're going to do it and what you're going to do. Right. I kind of have these 5 questions. If you're going to buy a piece of equipment, who are you going to sell to? How are you going to reach them? Right. Do you have your business plan? Do you have who's going to run the equipment? And do you have who's going to sell it? If you can't answer yes to all 5 questions, then buying a machine is putting a lot of pressure on yourself.
It is. Funny enough, when I decided to jump in, I didn't do any of those 5 things, but what I did was I wanted to see it in a press room, a real press room, not a showroom, not a show. I wanted to see it on a press room floor, actually working in the workflow with people. And I had the opportunity to do that in Chicago, and that's what triggered my purchase. None of any of those other things you said.
First of all, let's be clear. In my buying days, I didn't do anything I'm telling people to do today.
Right. Yes.
And maybe if I did, maybe I'd still have the shop. Maybe I wouldn't. I'm just saying, I'm not claiming to always be the perfect one, but this is everything that I've learned along the way, and everything I've learned, especially not having my business and working with others and hearing from others. It's not just Warren talking, out of his mouth just to say things. So it's, I'm getting it all around, and I want to promote print. I want to promote the OEMs and their good equipment. And I want to promote the printers who do the right stuff.
Right.
I just don't want to promote anything that causes anybody any grief, angst, or, unnecessary misery in their life.
I agree. But I think, to sum it up, it's a great way to build your business. It's a great way to get client loyalty because you're doing something special for them. And I think it's a great way to elevate print so that it competes with the digital world.
I give you that one. So just quickly, because we don't have a lot of time left, with all this embellishments, are you selling anybody that's using it in their actual production of their products?
You mean like a box for cosmetics or something like that?
Yeah, right.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and are you doing it in the tens of thousands of units for companies, or is it more smaller doses for
For us,
direct things?
our sweet spot's probably 5 to 10,000. That's a lovely run, but most runs are 500, 1,000. But the beauty about being digital is that's still profitable. Volume doesn't always translate into more profit. We have been looking at a project that's actually 250,000 posters for a huge show that I had the opportunity to go to recently, and I actually don't think we could do it. I think it would cripple the shop, and I learned that early on because I took a project. We had only been in it for maybe a year. I took a project for a company now that doesn't exist. It was a marketing company, and it was for Air Miles. It was 125,000 pieces, and I had to run like basically 3 shifts for 6 weeks, and it crippled us. And when I look at the profit margin from that job, it really wasn't there.
No, and that's why I'm asking, because I think the digital and embellishment and print fits a certain market and a certain niche. And aside from the odd job or the odd relationship with a customer where you're doing it, then you got to go to offset and figure out all the other finishing. So
Yeah.
when people are thinking, I just want them to know you're not getting into long run with anything. You're not, Gucci's not coming to buy 10,000 boxes done digitally embellished.
Well, maybe
Right?
10,000, but not 100,000.
Okay, and then it would depend on the size and all the other stuff. But in general, nobody's buying. It would be the odd company buying 10,000 boxes digitally embellished versus going conventional route.
Yeah.
That's my belief, right?
Yeah.
Sorry?
That's accurate.
Yeah, and I just want the other printers listening to be able to know everything. And then once you hear what you hear, go make your own decisions. I just want to try to put more out there and find people to help me put more out there so that they could make better decisions. And the one that make the best decisions will do the best. Because at the end of the day, we're in business for what? To make money.
Right.
I mean, we could all say we're there to help people, but we're there to make money and help people.
Yes.
At the same time.
Duo. But yeah.
So just quickly, sustainability and digital and all of this stuff.
Well, we talked about that yesterday on the webinar, funnily enough. I mean, using a digital press, you don't have dyes, you don't have tooling, you don't have chemicals, you can recycle the foil now, you can de-ink and recycle the business cards or product now in a lot of different locations. So I think it's one of the more sustainable ways of putting ink on paper with a bit of foil or varnish. I think it's better because you're doing smaller runs, maybe more specific targeted runs. There's less waste, there's less make ready. So I have no problem convincing my clients, if they happen to ask, that sustainability is thought about a lot in the industry. And the FSCA, I know I keep mentioning them, but they have a wonderful report on sustainability that actually has some really key points in it. There again, though, it's going to imagine your geographic location is going to impact that, because not everybody can recycle to the same capacity. But, from a shop point of view, from an environmental point of view within our shop, it's a very, very sustainable footprint.
Cool. No, I didn't. So are more companies producing foils that are recyclable? Is that what they're doing?
Well, any foil, if you can get it off the sheet, is recyclable. So.
Oh, interesting. See, I didn't know that. I just learned something new today. Thank you. And all the inks and everything. So it's just.
Most inks are de-inking now, and if you look at any of the big OEMs, Konica, Skodex, they have a lot of stuff on their website about the sustainability practices and how they're trying to get more sustainable methods of producing things. So, and it used to be, you have to be FSC certified to do this or to do that. I don't even hear that much anymore. I mean, people are more interested in the fact that you're on a recycled sheet. Doesn't matter if it's FSCA, you're using a product that you can de-ink the paper, or you can get the foil and varnish off the paper, and you're following at home base, so in your shop, you don't have the harmful chemicals, you don't have the tooling and the dyes, you don't have the make readies and thousands of sheets that are wasted. I mean, you're printing on demand specific amounts, and people aren't left with huge inventories that then they dump. So I think that all really plays really well into digital print and digital embellishment being stronger.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think because that's what everyone's talking about. I mean, we used to be the FSA or all those certifications, and I think then it was just like the noise. But today, most of the paper is made FSC certified. I never understood why the printer had to be certified anyways, because everything was done and put in a box and then delivered to us. But I think that was just the FSC scam to get us to pay auditor fees.
Chain of command, but it's all a bit of greenwashing, really. But I
Oh, I
think
think it's money wash. Yeah, greenwashing and the people taking your money,
Hmm.
right, for nothing. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. And I
I
guess at the time,
the sustainability report from FSCA, I think that you don't have to be a member to download that. I'm not sure, but it's a good one.
okay, cool, cool. Yeah, you always have to touch on the sustainability just to let people know, but that's cool. Okay, we're going to wrap this up, and we're going to do this again because I only got through half of what I wanted to ask you.
Okay, okay. Well, we love
No,
talking.
but it was good. It was good. It was good. It was really, I like the little challenge there, and you're pretty up on what you're doing because you're so into it, which is even better because it's always nice to talk with someone who just loves what they do and passionate. And I guess I'm passionate about print and fishing, so it's all good. Anything you want to tell anybody listening?
No, I just it's been a very enjoyable, podcast. I've enjoyed speaking with you. I always do. And if anybody has any questions, they can always reach out to me. I'm very accessible.
Okay, when I do the posting, I'll put your website down, so if anybody wants, they can get to the website and find you from there.
Okay.
And I'm going to work on my next design for my business cards. So if you've walked away from anything from listening to this show today and you are a print person or not a print person, you need to have a super special business card, because when you meet somebody anywhere, a potential customer, a vendor, a potential date, you want to leave an everlasting impression. And if you use your phone, whoops, as I make noise, if you use your phone to scan a QR code, chances are if you have 1,000 contacts, you'll never find that person again because you won't remember their name even.
And a little bit of foil makes everything better.
And a little bit of foil makes everything better. Better. Okay, we're going to end it with that. Christine, thank you so much. Always pleasure, pleasure. Everybody else, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Again, if you want to be on it, if you have ideas, if you have suggestions, anything you want, please reach out to me. Love to hear from you. Otherwise, be well, have a great day, and we will see you on the next one. Cheers.